streets to the screen, from the headlines to the beat. This is Daily Buzz.
Welcome to Daily Buzz News. Our lead story today.
A breakthrough in the case of missing Joshlin Smith. The minister says he has credible information about what happened to her. A nation that has collectively held its breath for nearly 2 years is once again thrown into a maelstrom of hope and skepticism. In a dramatic turn in the tragic saga of Joshlin Smith, the 6-year-old girl who vanished from her Saldana Bay home in February 2024, a prominent political figure has claimed a major breakthrough. Gayton McKenzie, leader of the Patriotic Alliance and current Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, announced during a live social media broadcast that he is in possession of what he described as very credible information regarding what happened to the child. The declaration, however, comes shrouded in controversy. It is intertwined with political promises and set against the backdrop of a case that has already seen a mother convicted of the unthinkable betrayal, the trafficking of her own child. McKenzie delivered the announcement with a confidence and flair that has become his trademark. He revealed that an independent investigation, which he personally funded, had produced a significant breakthrough. While he declined to share specific details, he assured the public that the information would be disclosed after consultations with the Minister of Police. The timing of this revelation is critical. It follows a report by the Afrikaans newspaper Rapport, which questioned the more than 500-day delay in the establishment of the Joshlin Smith Foundation, a project McKenzie publicly championed. On July 8, 2024, just days after his appointment to cabinet, McKenzie pledged his entire ministerial salary, approximately 2.5 million rand per year, to fund the foundation. The foundation was meant to focus on locating missing children, a cause born from national tragedy. Yet, as months turned into more than a year, the foundation failed to materialize. Its launch was repeatedly postponed, drawing increasing public and media scrutiny. It is into this unresolved and deeply emotional space that Gayton McKenzie has now made his dramatic intervention, linking a claimed investigative breakthrough to a promise that remains unfulfilled. The country now waits for clarity, accountability, and above all, the truth.
And we're going to have it in Saldana. Our mayor, Ken the Gentle, knows that we're going to have the launch there. And there's a reason, and I'm going to tell you what the reason is. Why we postponed this is because there's new information we got with the Joshlin Smith disappearance. Very credible information, and that information is being followed up. And as we follow up that information, we will soon share with you some very breaking news regarding that matter. I just need to wait for the people that has been working. I'm not the one that did the further investigations. And the police were not the ones that did further investigations. There are really good people that didn't want to give up. And they had a breakthrough, which they are following, which we will share with you after we've spoken to the Minister of Police. So there's a reason. So I'm just trying to tell you that I don't know what the report is going on about. The foundation has been registered. We will launch it. It has been registered. We will launch it as soon as we share with you the new news that regarding the Joshlin Smith matter. There is new news, and you're going to hear it at the appropriate time. And I'm saying to you, there are some people that God put in this world, and some of them decided they're not giving up with the Joshlin issue. They contacted me. They're like saying, listen, we are continuing with this thing. And they said, no, they halfway through, they said, we ran out of money. I said, yes, money. And they said, oh, let God bless you. I said, no, God must bless you. So very soon we will talk about that. And I don't want to talk about that now. But just know that the foundation has been registered. I came here on one of the lives and I said to you guys, we're postponing the launch of that.
This narrative conveniently deflects attention from accusations of unfulfilled promises and political grandstanding. The Patriotic Alliance's heavy involvement in the case during the 2024 election campaign has not been forgotten, and many now view this latest announcement with a healthy dose of cynicism. Is this a genuine lead that could finally bring closure, or a calculated political move designed to manage a growing public relations crisis? The coming weeks will determine the substance, or lack thereof, behind Gayton McKenzie's claims. The story of Joshlin Smith began on February 19, 2024. It was a Monday. The grade 1 learner from Diazville Primary School was not in her classroom. She was at home, a small shack in the Diazville area of Saldana Bay, because she did not have a clean school uniform to wear. Her mother, Raquel Kelly Smith, later told police she had left Joshlin in the care of her boyfriend, Jackin Boeda Paulus, at around 8 o'clock that morning while she went to work. When she returned home at 5 p.m., Joshlin was gone. The official missing persons report was only filed after 9 p.m. that evening, but the community's response was immediate and overwhelming. By the following day, a massive search operation was underway. Residents, non-government organizations, police K-9 units, and volunteers scoured the harsh coastal terrain, searched drains, and went door to door. Images of the little girl with piercing green eyes spread rapidly across social media, capturing the nation's heart and igniting its fears. The investigation soon took a grim turn. On March 4, 2024, a day after a visit from the then Minister of Police, who attempted to reassure an anxious community, a potentially crucial discovery was made. Search teams found items of clothing believed to be stained with blood in an open field. Western Cape Police spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Malcolm Poggi confirmed the find, signaling that this was no longer being treated as a routine missing person case. The following day, March 5th, 4 people were arrested, and the horrifying allegation that Joshlin had been sold entered the public domain for the first time. 2 days later, Kelly Smith, Jackanapalus, Stevino Van Rhyn, and a fourth individual, Pumza Sequaka, appeared in the Vredenburg Magistrates Court before an angry crowd demanding answers. What followed was a slow, agonizing legal process, a crawl toward a truth more disturbing than many had imagined. Charges against Pumza Sequaka were later withdrawn, while the remaining accused abandoned their applications for bail. The case took another significant turn in October 2024, when the state withdrew charges against Laurentia Renz Lombard, who had been arrested earlier that year. It was revealed that Lombard, a friend of Kelly Smith, had become a state witness. The indictment eventually handed to the court shocked the nation. It alleged a premeditated plan, conceived as early as August 2023, in which Kelly Smith had allegedly arranged to sell her own child.
En ik het haar vraag, hoe bedoelt zij aan het kakding heeft zij aangevangen?
I asked her, what do you mean about the shit thing you just did?
En ze zei voor mij, Rens,
Then she said to me, Rens,
ik het nou,
I did now,
voor Josh, ik het nou mijn kind,
I did now my child,
verkoop aan een sankoma.
sold my child to a sangoma.
En ik het haar vraag,
Then I asked her,
hoe komt doen zij dat?
why was she doing that?
Over waar heeft zij dit gedaan?
Or why did she do that? Or for what did she do that?
En haar antwoord was geweest,
And the answer was,
jong Rens, ik het geld nodig gehad.
Rens, I was in need of money,
En ik kreeg zwaar.
and I'm going through hardship.
The plan was allegedly set to be executed in January or February 2024. According to the indictment, a critical meeting took place on Sunday, February 18th, the day before Joshlin's disappearance. During that meeting, Kelly Smith and Joshlin allegedly met an unknown woman driving a white vehicle. The woman is said to have handed Kelly something, believed to be payment. Later that same day, the accused allegedly met again to discuss how the money from the sale would be divided. The indictment further claims that on the morning of Joshlin's disappearance, Kelly left home with her daughter, carrying a bag of the child's clothes. The two reportedly left on foot before getting into a white vehicle and driving away. The version Kelly later gave police, that she had left Joshlin in the care of her boyfriend, was, according to the state, a fabrication. The trial officially began on March 3, 2025. Proceedings were moved to the White City Multi-Purpose Center in Saldana Bay to allow members of the devastated community to witness justice unfold. The nation was riveted by the testimony of Laurentia Lombard. Testifying as a Section 204 state witness, Lombard's evidence was central to the prosecution's case. In exchange for her testimony, she applied for indemnity from prosecution. She told the court that Kelly Smith had sold Joshlin for 20,000 rand, with the money to be shared among those involved. Defense attorneys vigorously challenged Lombard's credibility, pointing to inconsistencies in her statements. However, Judge Nathan Erasmus ultimately ruled that she was a frank and honest witness.
Comply with the preconditions in the Act that you will be entitled to be granted an indemnity for prosecution on the charges that I've mentioned to you.
In his judgment granting indemnity on August 13, 2025, Judge Nathan Erasmus acknowledged Laurentia Lombard's difficult personal circumstances, her prolonged drug use, and the fact that the 1,000 rand she had been promised was a significant amount to her. He found that she had not played an active role in the kidnapping and trafficking itself, but had been an accessory after the fact, remaining silent in the expectation of a financial reward. Judge Erasmus ruled that granting her indemnity was necessary to secure critical evidence against what he described as the mastermind of the crime, Kelly Smith. The defense case that followed was notable for its silence. On April 23, 2025, all three accused elected not to testify, a decision that resonated strongly in the courtroom. On April 29, 2025, the state closed its case. Just days later, on May 2, 2025, the verdict fell like a hammer. All three accused were found guilty on charges of human trafficking and kidnapping. The sentencing phase that followed painted an even more harrowing picture of calculated cruelty. A United States-based human trafficking expert testified via Microsoft Teams, stating that this was not a crime of passion or desperation, but a carefully planned and premeditated scheme designed to exploit a vulnerable child. Probation officer Errol Peterson, who had interviewed the convicted traffickers, described Giannopoulos as a compliant individual easily influenced by stronger personalities, Stevino Van Rhyn as a menace to society, and Kelly Smith as a manipulative mastermind who orchestrated the entire operation. The most emotional moments came on May 28, 2025, when victim impact statements were read into the court record. Joshlin's teacher, Edna Mart, described her as a quiet, neat pupil with a gentle spirit. A letter from Joshlin's best friend was read aloud, along with a painting created by her entire class, showing an empty space where she should have been sitting. The Andrews family, who had once sought to adopt Joshlin and had grown deeply attached to her, shared their grief through a poem written by their daughter. Joshlin's own sister also submitted a poem, one that moved everyone in the courtroom. Her mother, Natasha Andrews, wrote a letter so raw and painful that it left the entire court in tears. There was not a dry eye in the courtroom as the testimonies concluded on May 29, 2025. Citing the accused's complete lack of remorse throughout the trial, Judge Nathan Erasmus delivered his final sentence: life imprisonment for Kelly Smith, Giannopoulos, and Stevino Van Rhyn.
Proposed life imprisonment. There is no need for me to rule on the concurrency of the sentences, because by operation of law it will be served concurrently. Mr. Apollos, do you understand that? Mr. Van Ryn, do you understand? Ms. Smith, do you understand? Thank you. You may be seated. I'm also ordinary for the entry of your names into the National Child Protection Register. The court will adjourn.
The legal future for Stefan Van Ryn is for the defense to appeal. We'll be appealing the conviction, we'll be appealing the sentence. My client is still innocent. I still maintain that. My client on that day was only selling his microwave. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. He has no knowledge of the offense, he has no knowledge of the
The National Prosecuting Authority later welcomed the dismissal of the application for leave to appeal on August 14, 2025. Western Cape Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Nicolette Bell, praised the prosecution team for presenting a strong, thorough, and convincing case that withstood legal scrutiny.
We are arguing very strongly that there was no faults or misdirection by the judge in this matter. It's our responsibility, of course, it's not to win at all costs. We are officers of the court and it's our duty to uphold justice. If there has been no error in fact or in law, we will strongly defend the outcome. That is our judgment and sentence. Of course, if the appeal is granted, then we are also part of the process thereafter in whether it is, the process works as follows. If an appeal is dismissed by this honourable court, the defence may then petition the SCA. The SCA can either dismiss it or they can refer it to a full bench of this division. Whichever way it goes, the state will be defending this judgment and sentence at every level from here.
The reason for the findings on both the merits and the sentence were fully set out in the reasons handed down on the dates I stipulated above. I need not add thereto. Insofar as it relates to the sentence, it is clear that it can never be said that a sentence of life imprisonment, in particular on count 1, on the human trafficking of a child, where life imprisonment is imposed, where persons have shown no remorse, would be shockingly inappropriate. And for that reason, leave on the sentence should be refused. Turning to the merits and the attack on that, this court made factual findings, draw inferences from circumstantial evidence, and had the benefit of observing the witnesses upon which I made credibility findings. There was nothing indicated to me, in my view, that would indicate that there is a reasonable prospect of success on appeal. Consequently, the applications for leave to appeal, insofar as it relates to Mr. Apollos on the conviction, is refused. And insofar as it relates to Mr. Van Ryn and Ms. Smith, it is similarly refused.
However, the defense has indicated that it intends to approach the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein in a final effort to overturn the convictions and sentences. Throughout this entire ordeal, the search for Joshlin has never officially ended. In July 2025, police and K9 units once again returned to Mid-Delpos following what were described as fresh leads. Brigadier Novella confirmed that the case had never been closed and remained a priority for law enforcement. The community continues to live in fear. According to Kelly Smith's friend, Josephine Brown, parents remain constantly on edge. She said every parent fears who the next child might be. The pain is perhaps most acute for Joshlin's paternal grandmother, Rita Jan, who publicly pleaded with Kelly Smith and her co-accused to reveal where Joshlin is. For a grieving family and a nation still watching, the emotional weight remains unbearable. And so the question hanging heavily over South Africa remains a painful one. Is Gayton McKenzie's claim the dawn of a long-awaited truth, or just another false promise in the unending nightmare of what happened to Joshlin Smith? Thanks for watching.